Hi, my name is Barrett Yates and I am currently a senior at the Caldwell High School. I am also the drum major for the Caldwell High School Band, and today we'll be reading Chapter 18, The Night Before, and the book JD and the Great Barber Battle. And let's get started. When this kind of thing happens in movies or books, you see that on the night before the competition, the competitors can't sleep. Well, not in this story. I slept like a baby. I knew I had Henry Jr. right where I wanted him. I had dozens of cuts. I knew what was in style. I knew I was fast and good. And I knew that by the end of the day, all of Henry Jr.'s remaining clients would be mine. In the morning, things were different. Even with a good night's sleep and the confidence of almost certain victory, I was in a mood. Unlike with my football games, my entire family would be at the battle. My mom even gave everyone a ride to Hart and Son. When we got there, I found out that I had forgotten my backup clippers from Uncle Hal. Mom had to drive me the 10 minutes back to our house to get them. What a messy start. On the way back to Hart and Son, I double-checked the supplies in my backpack. I had my clippers, backup clippers, a brush, and my set of art pencils. I suddenly started to worry. In fact, I started to sweat. Henry Jr. probably had better clippers than I did. He had a whole barber shop of tools. I didn't remember to put what type of equipment we could use in my rules. My clippers were from J.C. Penney. My granddad had gotten them with his discount from when he was the head manager there. Henry Jr. got his stuff from special salespeople who came to his shop. I could only go to Sally Beauty Supply if I wanted something extra. I wished I had spent less of the money I earned on making the barbershop fun and cool. My mom looked at me as I nervously clutched my backpack. "Are you okay, JD?" she asked. "Well, Mom, I'm a little scared," I said. "Do you still want to do this?" she asked. "I have to, Mom. The whole city is coming." "Well, you were built for this moment. You're my child, JD. We Joneses don't let nerves stop us." She was right. Mom went back to school even though she was nervous. Choir made me nervous at first, and now it's just normal. I'd even stopped lip syncing. "But I'll tell you a secret," Mom said. "Back when I ran track, I sometimes used to feel like throwing up before a big race. But then I'd envision myself crossing the finish line first and everyone cheering, and that helped me keep calm. That's how I felt now, like throwing up." "Even worse," Mom continued, "when I was training to be a nurse, the first time I had to draw blood from someone's arm, I was so afraid that I would hit the wrong vein and the patient would die." "Is there any chance someone's going to die while you cut their hair today?" "No, Mom, there isn't," I said, laughing. I could tell she was joking. Mom could be really funny sometimes. "Then don't be nervous. Just look out at the crowd and imagine everyone clapping for you." The plan was for me and Henry Jr. to select our own hair models. We'd each gotten 3 different kids to grow their hair out to the same length. But when I arrived, Mrs. Holliday threw us a curveball. "Hello, Henry Jr. and JD, she greeted us outside the shop. "I had the best idea last night. Wouldn't it be more fun and exciting if I picked one of the models?" She seemed so pleased with her idea, but I didn't like it one bit. "That way it will be fair," she continued. "Every now and then my beauty school students practice on local kids, and I called two of them in." Then she directed her attention to me. "If you want to be a great barber one day, JD, you're going to have to know how to cut all types of hair." All types of hair? The only hair I had cut that was not like mine was my friend Xavier's. What did Mrs. Holliday have in mind? Was I supposed to know how to cut girl hair too? Or straight hair? I had planned on using Xavier, Eddie, and Jordan as my models. I already knew how to cut their hair. I couldn't tell what Henry Jr. thought of the new rule. His face looked kind of blank. He probably wasn't worried because at the end of the day, he had years of experience. Was there a chance I could lose in front of all my family and friends? And stay tuned for the next chapter.
Hi friends, I'm Dr. Levin. I am the band director and director of fine arts for Caldwell ISD. So if you've ever been to a football game or a concert and you see somebody directing the band, that's me. But today I'm going to read you this awesome new book called JD and the Great Barber Battle by Jay Dillard, and it's illustrated by Akeem Roberts. And I'm reading chapter 19 today called The Barber Competition. As I worried as I felt on the inside, on the outside, I looked as clean as a star at his movie premiere. At least as clean as I could with my best church shirt and shoes. I brought a jar of candy for the audience and made sure that Jordan, with all of his gadgets, were able to play the music and set up microphone for Mr. and Mrs. Holliday. Hart and Son only had 2 barber chairs, one small bench for the people who were waiting. I got permission from the gym teacher to bring a bunch of folding chairs, but there still weren't enough seats for everyone. The only time I had performed in front of a crowd by myself was during the school Christmas play in 2nd grade, when I played Joseph. I dropped the fake baby Jesus when I was handing the doll to the girl who played Mary, and everyone laughed. Being on stage in front of people was nothing like being on the football team when no one could even tell who you were. People gathered outside the barbershop with some pressing their noses against the glass. Jordan quickly hooked up his sound system so folks could hear the announcements outside. I felt like a tailgate party at the Tuskegee University. My entire family sat in the front row, like a line of ducks dressed in their Sunday finest. They were next to Henry Sr. and Henry Jr.'s wife and 2 little kids. I noticed all of my friends, especially Jessica, sitting by her mom. She waved, flashing her bright blue fingernails, and walked up to me. "You'll crush it, JD, just like I did in football last game." Before she went back to her seat, she added, "And my mom sees you haircut, I know she'll let you cut my bangs." That's just what I needed to hear. I saw Justin fussing on Mom's lap and decided to go calm him. Vanessa was there too, and she had this weird look in her eyes. I couldn't tell if she was happy for me, jealous, or nervous, but she grabbed my arm. "You got this, JD," she said. Next to her, Grandma and Granddad matched for the occasion, with Grandma in her powder blue church hat and Granddad in his powder blue tie. They both smiled at me. Everyone I cared about had come to cheer me on. The photographer from the Meridian City Times took a photo of me and Henry Jr. for the newspaper. The flash was so bright I felt dizzy. Just then, Miss Holliday's voice crackled over the speaker. "Welcome, everyone, to Meridian's first barber battle." Mrs. Holliday announced me and Henry Jr. got into our stations. "Give it up for our brave and talented contestants, Mr. Henry Hart Jr. and little Mr. J.D. Jones." Miss Holliday paused for applause. I tried to imagine that all of the cheers were just for me, just like Mom said. Now the competition is best 2 out of 3. My husband and I will serve as the professional judges, but everyone is allowed to participate by using the numbers underneath your seats. You can rate the haircuts from 1 to 5, 5 being the best, and 1 being, well, not so good. She rolled up her sleeves. Miss Holliday reminded me of the gymnast Simone Biles and the nylon tracksuit she always wore to keep from getting dirty with hair supplies. "Now give it up for your hair models. Let's hope they all go home happy." Xavier, Eddie, and this kid from church named Steven walked out. Steve's parents were strict, even stricter than my family. He was not in football or any extracurricular activities. How was I going to cut all his hair? I did not know how Henry Jr.'s models very well either. Maybe they were his relatives from another town over. 2 of them had small afros, and Miss Holliday's wild card hair model was another kid with long, bushy afro. Miss Holliday mentioned that her models grew out of their hair for the battle. "Okay, let's begin," Miss Holliday said. Our styling tool of choice was a set of clippers with a guard, no shears. We'd have 30 minutes to complete each style before clippers down. My husband Billy, or Mr. Holliday, to all of you, will be kicking things off by pulling the first style out of the hat. Mr. Holliday, a short and burly man, walked over to the hat and pulled out a piece of paper. The first style is a fade. Our clippers buzzed on. I worked on Eddie's head and felt less nervous as I concentrated on the haircut. But before I could sense that Henry Jr. was working faster than me, how many hundreds of basic fades had he cut over his lifetime? "Clippers down," I heard Miss Holliday say. On the side of my eye, I saw her whispering to Mr. Holliday. Henry Jr. had finished before me, and it looked pretty good. Mine was good too, but the back edge was a little unfinished. We must give this round to Mr. Henry Jr. What does the crowd think? When Miss Holliday asked the crowd to rate Henry Jr.'s fade, he got mostly 4s and 5s. I got mostly 4s. The only 5s were from my family. Miss Holliday pulled the next style out of the hat herself and addressed the crowd. Our next haircut is a pompadour. I heard the crowd shift in their seats. Not everybody seemed to know what that was, but I did. Celebrities like Miguel, Bruno Mars, Janelle Monáe had all tried their own versions of the pompadours. Luckily, Xavier was next in my chair. All I needed to do was add that right styling product and then edge up his sides. Henry Jr. was trying to straighten his model's hair, but he didn't finish in time to make the edges neat. The holidays whispered to each other again. I think the winner of this round is JD. This time, the crowd gave me mostly 5s and 4s, and Henry got 3s and 2s, and even a couple 1s. For this competition's last style, Miss Holiday said, "Could I please have Henry Sr., the longtime owner of this shop, come to the front and make the selection?" Henry Sr. unfolded his long, stickle-like legs and reached his wiry hand into the upside-down baseball cap. "High top fade," he yelled out. "Don't know what in the world that is, but good luck, boys." Henry Sr. shuffled back into his chair. I knew exactly what a high top fade was. I wasn't so sure that Henry Jr. did. Either way, we were both cutting the hair of a new client for the first time. Henry Jr. calmly buzzed off the bushy ponytail of the kid in his chair, and he was all ready to go. My clippers buzzed as I shaved off Steve's ponytail, but as soon as the hair hit the floor, my clippers stopped working. I heard a few gasps from the crowd, and my mom covered her mouth with her hands. I walked over to my bag and whipped out my uncle's backup clippers. I'd never used them before, but if I wanted to win, I had to think back to what Mom said on the car ride. We Joneses never give up. The good thing about Steve having so much hair was that I could really do something extra special with my high top fade, like a slightly uneven look with one side higher. I stole a quick glance of Henry Jr. It looked like he was trying to copy me. Back on Steve's head, I was feeling pretty good about what I was doing. I focused on the haircut the way I did when I got sucked into my drawings. Even if I lost, I wanted to make sure that I did a good job and everybody knew I could cut hair just as good as Henry Jr. That was important to me. Stay tuned for Chapter 20 tomorrow.